ladies and gentlemen. Javier here with the real Javier Novoa for what is becoming one of our weekly traditions here, the Sunday Satsang, or if you will, the Sunday service. And we're also going to play some soothing music at the beginning. It can be seen as something devotional, if you will. It can be seen as a break, as a rest, a respite from your busy week here. And just beginning here with this beautiful song from Deva Premal, who's of course a very famous New Age singer for many years now. And this is the Gate mantra, which is basically the Buddhist form of Hallelujah. So it's very soothing, very cleansing here. It's basically about crossing over to the other side. It's about crossing over to the other shore. Of course, that's the shore beyond materialism, beyond the duality, beyond the dualism. Realizing your true self is what we're all doing. It's basically the true work of life. You can even go into the silence. You can close your eyes and go into a sort of meditation and follow this mantra within. Join me in just a little moment of meditation here. This is true prayer, by the way. It's getting centered. Getting centered with who you really are. Whatever residue or dust that you're bringing from the week, from the last week, leave it at the door, guys. This virtual door of this virtual service, as you will, this virtual gathering. Leave whatever worries or concerns you have symbolically at that door. Leave past behind and let go of future as the illusion that is. ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for attending this weekly gathering, this satsang. I welcome you to this Sunday Satsang. It's a very special gathering actually for this channel. The community welcomes you, the real Javier Novoa community. It's basically a safe space, guys. It's a space where you can come, where you can have no fear of condemnation or any sort of negative vibrations or negative emotions that perhaps you might have experienced in the week. It's a fresh start. I want to introduce you, if you're not aware of it, and even if you are aware of it, do it. It's beautiful. It's cleansing. To this kind of cleansing ritual that was taught to me by Trevor Blake. I observed it from Trevor Blake, and I believe it was taught to him by a Native American shaman, and it's basically a cleansing of the energy. What you'll see, if you just look at nature, whether it's animals or people, you'll see that when someone's been through an upset, you'll see, for example, people doing this and doing this. There's a reason for that, guys, because when we pass over, say our faces or our necks or our heads, there's an energy of soothing, a scientifically proven energy of soothing and cleansing that comes with that. And it's basically cleansing the vibrational ambiance, if you will, and it's like starting fresh. And I'd like you to experience it with me. Whatever we've had in the week, you can just start sort of shaking. Shake your body out. Shake whatever experiences you've had out. You know, psychologists talk about doing this. Once you do that, get loose and comfortable. A lot of people who teach yoga do this. Just loosen your body, right? Shake everything out. As Abraham Hicks said, shake it out, right? Now, you've got your positive and your negative. Put your hands together and rub them together. You're going to generate fission, you're going to generate warmth, and you're going to get those neutrons and electrons working. So after you've done this, I want you to wipe your hands over your face 3 times and shake them. Just imagine any of the negative energy and negative vibrations just dropping away. You can do this with others as well. You can do this with a spouse. I want you to do this again, but this time I want you to wipe your hands over your head and neck and then shake them out. Do this 3 times. And shake them out. And then I want you to do this. And shake them out. Already feeling great. You can do it a few times, guys, until you just feel at a state of neutral. Another great person who did this, I forget his name now, but there's a great hypnotist who's a hypnotist to the royals, who's a hypnotist from England, who's a hypnotist to very successful people. And when he hypnotizes people and tries to take them through fear or any negative emotions, he will do this to them, especially to their arms. He will do this to their arms. And in a very short period of time, the person can go from great fear and distress to ease. Guys, I hope that you're eased now, no matter what the vibrational level, because, you know, believe it or not, whether it's a virtual group or whether it's a group of people together in one place, it doesn't matter because of quantum entanglement. Remember, you can put a cell in the United States and a cell in Australia from the same body, and they will react together no matter in what space they are, no matter how far apart they are. There could be one on Mars, right? It's called quantum entanglement. We're utilizing this. And We're going to talk about this more probably in other satsang and other videos. There were projects done, guys, and these were actually written up in sociological journals. You can look it up. And they were called the Peace Project, and they were prominent in the 80s. There was war in the Middle East. And what they did is they got a bunch of people together to meditate, guys. And the days that they meditated, the violence went way down. This was proven in the studies. You can look it up on the Peace Project. And we can do that no matter where we are. By us coming together in this satsang, no matter where you are, we can affect that frequency, not only for ourselves, but for the world. And it would be enough if it was with ourselves. What I want us to do now, before we get to the word, if you will, the readings that we have, we're going to do some readings, and I want to do some little bit of commentary on it, but I want to pray. And by prayer, of course, I don't mean verbal prayer, although it could take that form. I mean, I want us to, just for a few minutes, get into that meditative state, get into that, what the Sanskrit writers called ananda, get into that peace that is yourself. You're already probably feeling more peaceful than you did when you came because of the energy cleansing we did. But I want to take it a step further. I want to go into the silence, and I want to guide you into a sort of way of getting there. So go ahead and just take a few deep breaths. Deeply in and out. Deeply in and out. One more time, deeply in and all the way out. Now I just want you to get very present with the room, guys. Whatever room you're in, or you can look at the screen. I want you to imagine that you're the space in that room. And I want you to imagine that every one of your cells, every one of your bones, every one of your ligaments, each of your senses, all of your senses are just wide open. Your heart's open. Your head is open. Imagine your entire body just open, sort of like an open field of light, guys. And it's just passively taking in all of the sensations in the room. You can look around the room. But guys, there's a subtle distinction in what we're doing right now. I don't want you to try to focus on anything. In fact, I want you to try to focus on nothing. Krishnamurti called this choiceless awareness, in which you're simply the space in which everything's happening, and you just allow whatever experience comes to impinge upon that space and to pass through that space. You are the space. You can even say it to yourself. You can say, I am the space. Hear all of the sounds. Smell any of the fragrances. Now allow your eyes to gently close. Now, for those of you who are experienced in this, it'll be easy. For those of you who are not, it might take some effort, but it's worth the effort. I want you to feel the presence of your inner body. you see there's an energy field in your body. There's a tingling sensation, if you will. Many mindfulness and meditation teachers call this a global sensing, a global sensation. I want you to sense that energy field in your entire body. Sense it vividly, guys. Now, if any feelings or thoughts come up, don't resist them, guys, even if they're negative. In fact, it's good if they're negative. Invite them in. And feel that, but also, again, while you're feeling whatever sensation you're feeling, feel the entire energy field of the body. If any feelings or thoughts come up, notice them, love them, but then just get right back to feeling and attending to all of those sensations in your energetic body. This is prayer, guys. In fact, this is the mystical meaning of the Eucharist or communion. We're in communion right now. Many of you are already in that intoxicated, peaceful, ananda state. And if you're not, it's okay. It doesn't matter, guys, because you are it. It doesn't matter how you feel. Don't condition these meditations on feelings, because you are peace. And eventually you're going to feel it vividly. Dr. Herbert Benson, who wrote a great book back in the 80s, I believe, called The Relaxation Response, talked about the fact that some quote-unquote meditations, and we're not trying to make it into a practice, but nevertheless, some meditations, you won't feel like you're making any progress. You won't feel anything differently. Now, sometimes it can be that you're so accustomed to this feeling of peace that it's become boring to you. That's a good sign, because you'll deepen into more feelings of peace. But for others of you, there is work. Every meditation that you do, there's work being done physiologically, but it's in the back of your mind. And it's going to manifest after the meditation or in another meditation. That's a promise, so don't worry if you don't feel like you think you should feel. In fact, this is about going beyond thought. This is about seeing what's under, between, and eventually in the thoughts themselves, what the thoughts are. They are you, because there's no separation. You're going to experience that. Now we're going to go into the prayer aspect of this. This is all prayer. What we were doing just now is prayer, but Many of you will know about revision from Neville Goddard, and I'm not going to explain it too deeply. There are actually scientific studies on this. But the only thing that exists is now. Past and future are just intellectual frames that we use in order to classify and know our experience. And they're useful. Making a date on a calendar is useful. But when it goes into what, again, Krishnamurti called psychological time, that's when it can be damaging, because then you're separate. You see, I can't control the future, and I can't change the past. Oh, but you can. Because once you realize that within the present is the past and the future, because there is no past and future, and when you understand the concept of film rolls that we talk about a lot on this channel, that was written about by Zeland, the great Russian author, you'll know that when you change your state of mind, or what we call on this channel state, what Neville Goddard calls state, what Abraham Hicks calls vibration, then you change the whole timeline. You change what happened in the past. So what I want you to do is, there is a concept in our work called revision, which you can imagine yourself going back to the past, and you can see, whether it's your day, whether it's years in the past, you can see an incident that occurred that you would rather have not occurred because of its consequences today, or because of the consequences you foresee it having in the future. And you can go back and reimagine it. I want you to do it for this week, and I want you to do it for now. Let's just do it for 3 phenomena this week. 3 situations that happened this week that you'd rather have happened differently. They can be big ones or small ones. Keep your eyes closed now, because we're going to be doing visualizing. The first situation, I want you to visualize it, guys. I want you to actually feel the feelings. You'll feel the exact feelings that you felt, because it's still stored within the body. And there will be a negative sensation. There will be a tightening in the chest. Acknowledge that. Love it. Allow it. Breathe into it. And once it's subsided a little, because it's not going to go away completely, I want you to try to imagine how you would like that to have happened. And then just play a small scene in your mind. It could be a scene of your boss telling you something negative. Flip it around and have him or her tell you something positive. And then just imagine that a few times. Focus on it and loop it a little bit. So imagine your boss, and you can do this with anything, but imagine your boss patting you on the arm and saying, "Good job." And then just loop that. And just feel the feelings. Of course, it'll take practice. You're not going to do it immediately, but just try, attempt it. Feel the feeling that you would feel as if that happened. And then say Amen, which means it is so, because it is so. This is the way it happened. And you will see that your present and your future is going to line up as if it were on that film roll. Take a second thing that happened to you this week. Negative. What we call negative. Of course, there's not. In fact, this is the most positive thing that could happen, because it's teaching you to step into your lordship, step into your power to change the past. Now change that. Flip it around. Now take a third thing that's happened. Do it again. Amen. It is so. Feel the joy, guys. You can open your eyes. In fact, you can open your eyes and you'll see that you will still be in this meditative state bordering on intoxication, guys. So, now what I want to do, while we're in this state of prayer, is I want you to take 2 items that you would like to happen next week. Let's call them intentions. You don't have to make them too big. Don't say that you want to make $1 million next week. You could do that, and it'll still be fun and it will still work. But start small. In fact, 2020, who's a great manifestation coach, talks about owning your day, and we should do this every day. Joseph Goddard, who was Neville Goddard's father, whose book we're going to read from, used to do this every day at lunch, because after eating a substantial meal, you get into this sort of state akin to sleep, which is very close to this sort of state of intoxication that we're doing now, but more drowsy. And you can feel a little bit drowsy even now, but it's a sweet drowsiness. And he would imagine things coming up in the day happening exactly the way he wanted them. Do that for the week. Just take 2 things. Say you want to have lunch at a really nice restaurant with your beloved one, and enjoy that lunch. And imagine that. Imagine what would happen at the end of that meal. Such a beautiful meal. You can look at your spouse in your imagination. Imagine him or her saying, "That was such a beautiful meal, baby. Thank you for taking me to this beautiful restaurant." And inwardly you can say, "Thank you, Father." Or whatever it is that you want to happen for the week. Do that for a second aspect. Say you want to go to the lake and take a dip. Enjoy that. You're in the lake, you're taking a dip, absolutely present, with absolutely no worry about any other time but the present. You're completely in the present. And remember, when you're in your imagination, you're not away from the present. And the way you'll know this is that when you're in the present, there's no longing, there's no tenseness. There's this sort of tense feeling when you're trying to get somewhere. You'll know it very well when you're waiting in line in the supermarket. You're trying to get to that register. But when you're in your imagination and you're living in that scene now, there's no tenseness. There's just the enjoyment of it. Enjoy it now. And don't care whether or not it happens. Once you do that, you're going into future. And we don't want to work today, guys. We want to keep the Sabbath holy. That's what we're doing. So, all right, guys. Let's shake it out. Let's stay in this beautiful sense of presence. I want to get back to some basics, guys. I want to actually inspire you for the week. I want to teach you some tools and techniques that you can take into the week so that you can become more unconditional, you can become more powerful, and you can grow, quote unquote, even though you're already there. But on this film roll, you can grow in what we call interiorism. And of course, interiorism draws on all of the metaphysical teachings. It draws on the Stoics, it draws on the great mystics, it draws on people like Carnegie, who wrote this book, How to Stop Worrying and Start Living. It's a great book that I still return to. One of the best chapters in this book is How My Mother and Father Conquered Worry. And it talks about religion, guys. But not the old ossified orthodoxy. It talks about taking the scriptures, and of course Christianity was the religion that he was most familiar with, taking those scriptures and actually bringing them into the present and making them impactful by getting to the meaning behind them. And also certain practices that were taught to us in religious practices, they're still very useful, guys. So, Carl Jung said this. He was, of course, a great psychologist. This is in the book. This is in the chapter, How My Mother and Father Conquered Worry. He said, during the past 30 years, people from all the civilized countries of Earth have consulted me. I have treated many of hundreds of patients. Among all my patients, in the second half of life, that is to say over 35, which I'm there, a lot of us are there, there's not been one whose problem in the last resort was not that of finding a religious outlook on life. I've circled that, guys. And I'm going to repeat it again. People over the age of 35, and I would dare to contend, people under the age of 35. There's not been one, says Jung, who was the father of the Jungian, of course, school of psychology, great psychologist, contemporary of Freud, an equal of Freud. There's not been one whose problem in the last resort was not that of finding a religious outlook on life. It is safe to say that every one of them fell ill because he had lost that which the living religions of every age have given to their followers, and none of them has been really healed who did not regain his religious outlook. And of course, by religious outlook, he does not mean the shallow religiousness. People go to church, but they're not happy. They're trying to force people to follow a certain orthodoxy. It's not the religion that Jung is talking about. Jung is talking about the religion of the dreamer, the religion of the shaman, the religion of the meditator, the religion of the mystic, the religion of practicality, practical Christianity. That's what we're talking about in this channel. William James said this: faith, and by faith again we mean this living, flowing faith, this spiritual wine, is one of the forces by which men live. He declared, and the total absence of it means collapse. So guys, the moral of this is you have to get beyond the materialism, and that's what we're trying to do in this satsang. We're trying to talk about things other than the material world. We're trying to get you beyond the materialist outlook. When we are harassed and reach the limit of our own strength, many of us turn in desperation to God. There are no atheists in foxholes. But why wait till we are desperate, says Carnegie? Why not renew our strength every day? Why wait even until Sunday, which we're doing now, but why not do it every day, guys? For years I've had the habit of dropping into empty churches on weekday afternoons. When I feel that I am too rushed and hurried to spare a few minutes to think about spiritual things, I say to myself, wait a minute, Dale Carnegie, wait a minute. Why all the feverish hurry and rush? Little man, you need to pause and acquire a little perspective. At such times, I frequently drop into the first church that I find open. Although I'm a Protestant, I frequently on weekday afternoons drop into St. Patrick's Cathedral on Fifth Avenue and remind myself that I'll be dead in another 30 years. It's true for a lot of us, right? At least on this film roll. but that great spiritual truths that all churches teach, or they should teach, are eternal. I close my eyes and pray, like we just did. I find that doing this calms my nerves. We attended to certain imaginal images, certain feelings, and the whole corpus of which we call state, and we impressed our subconscious. He said, make your inner conversation match your fulfilled desire. What you desire to hear without, you must hear within. Embrace the without within and become one who hears only that which implies the fulfillment of his desire. And all the external happenings in the world will become a bridge leading to the objective realization of your desire. I want you to contemplate and meditate on what the master here is saying. Your inner speech is perpetually written all around you in happenings. Learn to relate these happenings to your inner speech and you will become self-taught. Pay attention to what's going on, guys. Pay attention to your feelings. Pay attention to what happens to you, seemingly. In other words, in Zelen's language, pay attention to the film roll that you're on. It'll guide you to the conversations you're having within. A lot of times we're not attentive enough yet to hear the conversations that we have within. By doing these exercises of observation that we talk about, presence, mindfulness, contemplation, you will become good at observing that observer and observing all of your thoughts, guys, and then you'll be able to catch them early and you'll be able to refute them or just let them pass through and not make a beachhead, so to speak, in your psyche and in your physique, which they will. By inner speech, Neville says, is meant those mental conversations which you carry on with yourself. They may be inaudible when you are awake because of the noise and the distractions of the outer world, of becoming, like we just said, but they're quite audible in deep meditation and dream, but whether they be audible or inaudible, you are their author and fashion your world in their likeness. There is a God in heaven, and heaven is within you, that revealeth secrets and maketh known to the king Nebuchadnezzar what shall be in the latter days. Thy dream and the visions of thy head upon thy bed are these, in the book of Daniel 2:28. Inner speech from premises of fulfilled desire is the way to create an intelligible world for yourself. Observe your inner speech just like we talked about, for it's the cause of future action. Whatever you say to yourself within, guys, it's the cause of whatever action happens on the without. A lot of time those are your actions or things that happen to you. Inner speech reveals the state of consciousness from which you view the world. Make your inner speech match your fulfilled desire, for your inner speech is manifested all around you in happenings. The whole manifested world goes to show us what we have made of the world, of the word, so to speak, inner speech. An uncritical observation, just looking at your inner talking, guys, will reveal to us the ideas from which we view the world. Inner talking mirrors our imagination, and our imagination mirrors the state with which it is fused. If the state with which we are fused is the cause of the phenomenon of our life, then we are relieved of the burden of wondering what to do, for we have no alternative but to identify ourselves with our aim. And inasmuch as the state with which we are identified mirrors itself in our inner speech, then to change the state with which we are fused, we must first change our inner talking. For it is our inner conversations which make tomorrow's fast. So you see what you don't like on the outer. You've got to change your conversations, guys. You've got to catch it, and you've got to start generating within what you want to be happening, the state that you want to be within. And this is the hard part, guys. You have to initiate it. No matter what you see on the outer, you've got to go within and say, no, my reality is this. And then eventually the outer will follow that. You follow me? Put off the former conversation, the old man which is corrupt, and be renewed in the spirit of your mind. Put on the new man, which is created in righteousness. This is from Ephesians. And then this is from Quintilian, a great Roman author. Our minds, like our stomachs, are whetted by the change of food. So you change your food, you're going to change your health. You're going to change the consequences. Neville goes on, stop all of the old mechanical negative inner talking and start a new positive and constructive inner speech from premises of fulfilled desire. What is premises? It's your assumption, guys. I already assume that my desire is done. Now, what conversation will I have with myself to reflect that desire? That's the way it works, guys. So, you want $1 million, right? I have $1 million. What conversation would I have with myself? Well, I'm about to buy this new Audi R8. Have that conversation with yourself, guys. And as Bashar says, take it as far as you can take it. Follow your highest excitement. This all goes back to following your highest excitement. What conversation do you want to have with yourself, guys? Do you want to have an argument? Do you want to have fearful self-dialogue? Guilt? I don't think so. Follow your highest excitement. Construct a sentence which implies the fulfillment of your aim, such as I have a large, steady, dependable income consistent with integrity and mutual benefit, or I am happily married, or I am wanted. Whatever you want. And I just want to end with this because it's a long chapter. Inner talking matures in the dark. From the dark, it issues into the light. So it matures within, and then you're going to be able to see it. Neville says, the right inner speech is the speech that would be yours were you to realize your ideal. In other words, it is the speech of your fulfilled desire. And now he quotes the Hermetica from Hermes, which is an ancient spiritual text. Ancient occult text. I am that, which means you are your desire. And he goes on. There are two gifts which God has bestowed upon man alone, and on no other mortal creature. These two are mind and speech. And by the way, this is what Neville Goddard calls the coin of two sides, mind and speech. The gift of mind and speech, Hermes says, is equivalent to that of immortality. If a man uses these two gifts rightly, he will differ in nothing from the immortals. And when he quits the body, mind and speech will be his guides, and by them he will be brought into the troop of the gods and the souls that have attained to bliss. So, the coin of heaven is going to give you whatever you want in this life, and at the end of this life, it's going to guide you into complete bliss, which you already are now. It's all symbolic. So, contemplate on it, guys. I don't want to just have these talks as an intellectual exercise. I want you to contemplate on them. I want you to take it into your week. And know, guys, that you are that. Know that you are loved. Know that you're a powerful creator. And know that it's already yours. Thank you guys so much for joining us in this Sunday Satsang. It's one of the many forums that we have here on this channel to teach the principles of interiorism. Of course, we have many more interesting videos coming up in the coming week. If you appreciate our channel, guys, I do invite you to subscribe to the channel. Give us a like. Hit the like button. Not only will it energetically join you with a group of master manifestors, it'll also help me get the word out. It's very important. in this world to get the word out. And I want to start talking about more, guys. Not about the world as it is, because that's all the prison grid. I want to give as much attention as possible to the world that we want to build, to the world that we want to live in. It's a world of freedom. It's a world of peace, complete peace, guys. It's a world of love. It's a world of cooperation. And it's a world of every person being respected in that space of creation, in that space of contemplation, and in that space of love. So I want to enter back into that silence just for a few moments, guys. I want to enter into that meditative state. I want you to just allow all of the knowledge and the feelings that we've had in this satsang just to sink in, and to just allow, not try to apply it, but allow itself to organize itself spontaneously in your own inner being, and then express itself beautifully on the outer. So let us enter into the silence. Let us enter into bliss. Feel that inner body for just a few moments. Thanks, guys, and till very soon. See you later this week.